What's your deal, man?
Oh, come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Baby.
Whoa.
That's not quite. Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better.
How about that?
That hurt.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
We're here at the 18th hole of this light beer open, and we've seen some real unusual shots today.
You said it.
Hey, Bob, I think you got a birdie!
I'll see. How am I supposed to hit it through this tree?
No problem, Bert.
How's Yuka going to get out of this one?
That calls for another light beer from Miller.
Make it 2, 3, 4.
It's a good thing lights less filling.
Back to you, Ricky!
John, the last player's approaching the tee.
And when it goes to 100, you sell. I won't be long, girls. Hold my calls, will you? It hit the weather vane. It's in the drain. Here it comes out. It's going on the green. It's going in the hole.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
This open ought to be closed.
Oh, look out, it's gay. It's come to rustle our Alston Pilts again.
That's why I'm here. How about it?
Don't you know the draft lager's half price?
Till I knew.
It so happens I didn't know, and it doesn't mean anything to me one way or the other.
No, you like the sugar turning to alcohol in Alston Pills. You just don't like paying for it.
And why should you when you can have mine?
Alston Pills production.
Reach out, oh, with Ray and Steve. Reach out, with Ray and Steve. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the car. For the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Play ball.
Happy New Year, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our first show of 2022. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Reach Out with Ray and Steve, the show where East meets West, where the Yankees meet the Dodgers, even in the offseason. Baseball meets music, and we all come together for community. All right, everybody, let's bring on the stars, or the hosts. I should say the hosts of the show, because we have some big stars coming up. Let's bring on our buddies, Ray and Steve. Come on in, gentlemen. Happy New Year to you guys.
Happy New Year, Roberto.
Happy New Year, Robbie. Nice blue skies for 2022.
I know. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I came down here for the holidays, and it was 70 degrees ever since Christmas.
Wow.
Last night, it snowed. Look on the ground here. I don't know if you can see it.
Wow, check that out. Do you know how to shovel?
I have grandkids for that.
If you could play the keyboard like you do, I'm sure you could shovel snow.
Robbie, now let me ask you, do you have a keyboard there in Nashville or no?
I have a whole studio here in Nashville. What are you talking about?
Now, are you going to be near your piano, your keyboards shortly?
I cannot because I'm in a different part of the studio here, and I don't have my keyboards. They're over here, so you can see the snow behind me.
Then I'm going to have to sing.
Oh,
then I'm going to have
I was afraid you wouldn't have your organ in front of you, and now he's got to sing.
I'm going to have to sing in my little segment that I'm going to do in a little bit. I have to sing. I was
all right. Well, you got to do what you got to do, brother.
It is what it is.
But check this out. Ray doesn't know this. 49 years ago, this guy bought the New York Yankees 49 years ago.
Who, me?
And with George Steinbrenner, if he didn't buy the Yankees,
we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
We wouldn't be sitting here, right?
No, I would be mugging you.
Unbelievable. Wow. 49 years ago, George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees, and Ray Negron started his stint with the Yankees. Wow. That's crazy.
And I am forever grateful because, remember, Robbie, I've told you this, and I told Frankie Valli this. In my house, there were 6 boys. And of the 6 boys, 5 of them went to prison.
Wow.
Okay. And of the 6 boys, I'm the only one that's left. So do I owe that man something? I think so. But that was God's plan.
And you came in right after that, pretty much, didn't you?
I came in. The boss purchased a team in January today.
Yeah, January 3rd.
And I came in that what do you call it? That June. June. It was a Friday of that June, about the 3rd week in June, and the rest is history.
We're going to have a parade down Broadway on next year for the 50th anniversary.
That's crazy. Yeah. I hope I make it. I hope I make it.
And Yankees Dodgers. What a better World Series that would be.
That would be.
They just have to get out of this lockout, and we'll have to cope with that. But listen, we lost a legend, Betty White.
Yeah.
99 years young. Her birthday was in January. She's a icon in so many ways, and she's had many hit shows, and she's taught us so many things in life.
Amazing. 99 years too, and that's a pretty good. I'll sign up for that tomorrow. Where do I sign up?
Robbie, in your travels with Frankie, have you ever run into Betty White?
Never ran into Betty White that I can remember, at least, and I'm sure I would remember that.
Yeah, you definitely would have. I never ran into Betty White either, so I'm very disappointed about that because I've heard nothing but incredible things about her.
You know what I did over the holidays here? And you know this, Ray, because you called me while I was doing this. Steve, I was the day after Christmas or whatever, a couple days after Christmas, I had all my grandkids here, and we all watched one of my my absolutely favorite baseball movie of all time, The Pride of the Yankees. While I'm watching that, my buddy Ray Negron, I don't pick up for too many people while I'm watching shows with my grandkids, but I have to pick up for Ray, you know. I picked up from Ray. He says, guess who's going to be our guest this weekend? And when he told me our guest, I couldn't believe it because either I was watching Gary Pride of the Yankees.
Wow. It's an amazing show that we're going to have, our first show of 2022. But we also lost football legend John Madden, and football coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He was instrumental in Madden football, the video game that so many kids around the world have been playing for years now. He was a commentary on all the major networks and a great football coach. Only 32 losses, 100 wins for the Oakland Raiders. Major loss for us.
Amazing. You know, what an amazing career. And if you want to call anybody Mr. Football, it would almost have to be John Madden. That's
right. And he actually did some work with Vince Scully. You know that?
No, I did. Oh, that's right. They broadcast games together.
Yeah.
So we'll have to drag up that footage over the next couple of weeks so we could see that.
That would be great.
And he suffers from the same issue that I deal with, which is we hated to fly. Mm-hmm. And he took the train like I did initially, and then he ended up being rich enough that he can get his own bus. I got roller skates.
There we go. There we go. We also lost another football legend coach, Dan Reeves, who coached for the Giants, the Broncos, the Falcons, and another great coach. He's not in the Hall of Famer, but he's had a Hall of Fame career, and he'll be sorely missed as well in the NFL.
So what did you guys do for New Year's?
For New Year's, I prepared for this show. Okay, I am so excited.
Me too.
To have Byron Janis on.
Amazing.
Oh my God! And then my hero of hero and his daughter Maria, and I love Maria. You know, I just met a girl named Maria, but the reason is just that she has shared her dad with the world. You know, and that's the hardest thing when you have. I've grown up with kids whose dads were these bigger than life people, and there would be so much jealousies and things like that. And Maria has always shared her dad with the world, and I cannot. I can't thank her enough for that because I love Gary Cooper so much.
Right. And we're gonna have our whole show is gonna be exciting. So stick with us. But Ray, we have a new mayor in New York City, Mayor Adams, and you got a chance to kind of work with him a little bit over recently before he actually went into office.
Wow.
Well, Eric is a good guy, former police officer, and that naturally, two of my sons are police officers. And so when things were going so bad with the police, I actually went to Eric and I said, Eric, man, we can't just honestly speaking, we can't let the animals go crazy per se. You know, I mean, we got to stand up for our guys in blue. You know, because I fear for my sons every single night, and hey, even at my age, and my sons are one is in his 30s and the other one is in his 20s, and until they get home, I don't sleep. Okay, period. I don't go to bed till 3 a.m. because I'm waiting. And when I hear my dogs go crazy, I know that Ricky's coming home. I know that Johnny's coming home, and that's all I care about. You know.
Well, one thing I want to say about I want to pray God's big blessings, protective covering over your sons and every police officer in New York. And every police officer in this great country of ours, because all of those people are on the front lines protecting you and me and all of our listeners out there.
Absolutely.
That's right. And Mayor just took office, and on the first day, he had a couple of great quotes already for the people in New York. We have lived through 2 years of continuous crisis, and it insults our very nature as New Yorkers. The crisis tells us that it is in charge, that it's in control. But there's one thing everyone knows about New Yorkers. We do not like anyone telling us what to do. But he's all in. I mean, you can read these quotes. He is all in to helping the people in New York and beyond. He's going to be in the community. And I think that's what appeals to you, Ray.
Well, you know what? I'm in the community every day. And I don't care, from the standpoint of, our children are out there. And, it starts with our kids. And I like for the kids, George Steinbrenner said it best, do not treat our players like heroes if they don't act like that. And you know what? Why, to me, the heroes are the police officers, the firemen, the people like that are out there protecting us at these crazy times.
Yes.
Right.
That's
right.
Those are the heroes.
That's right. They are the heroes. And we'll continue to support all those communities out there. And we're so thankful that Mayor Adams is all in, and I'm sure it's going to be a great time as New York mayor, and I can't wait to work with him directly in some of the efforts that he has done and is going to do in New York. Our Bat Boy shows will continue this year, and look for those announcements real soon. We're going to be off Broadway. We're going to be on Long Island, and obviously
New Jersey
and Florida. You'll have to stay tuned for those quotes. I want to give a shout out to my niece Jaden. It's her birthday. She's 15. Happy birthday, Jaden. We love you very much. And congratulations on all the great success you're doing in school. We're so very, very proud of you. And Jaden, can't wait to see you again real soon. And we have a little segment. It's called Back in the Day with Ray. You mentioned the pride of the Yankees, Robbie. So check out what Ray is going to bring us back to. Let's take a look.
Okay.
The Late Show, soon to be followed by the Late Late Show, and even the Late 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 Show.
You know, growing up, my mother used to say to me, son, go to sleep. Go to sleep. And I would say, okay, Mom, I'm going to bed. And then the minute I hear her door close, I would put on the TV. And in those days, we didn't have David Letterman or whoever is on now. We used to have the Late Show and then the Late Late and then the Late 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 Show. And these were all movies. And I remember the first movie that I saw on the Late Show was a film called High Noon. And it was Gary Cooper. And it was the aspect of courage. And I loved his courage, and I loved his look, and I loved his demeanor. And then 2 days later, when my mother said she was going to put a belt to me, I said, all right, Mom. And I put on the TV, and then the Pride of the Yankees. And when I saw that, I said, you know what? This is worth a beating. And Gary Cooper took it to the next level because he became Lou Gehrig. And when he became Lou Gehrig, I knew that I wanted to be a Yankee. I knew that someday I was going to be a Yankee somehow, some way. And to this day, I am forever grateful to Gary Cooper. And I will idolize him until the day I die. And I will love him. And I will love his family, Byron and Maria, and the fact that they shared this incredible immortal with me. And he will live forever. Amen.
Very gay program.
Who's Gary?
Oh, look, Lou Gehrig.
Right this way, Mr.
Yes,
Gary.
look, Dad.
Stand back, boys. Give him room. Give him room. Stand back. See you later.
Mr. Gary?
Sure miss you, Lou.
Oh, Mr. Gary, please. Don't you remember me? You knocked out 2 home runs for me one afternoon.
Oh, sure, sure. I remember you. How are you?
Just great. I've been waiting here all afternoon because I had to tell you something. I just got in town today and I had to tell you. I did what you said. I tried hard and I made it. Look, I can walk.
Well, gee, that's great work, kid. That's wonderful. Have you got a ticket for the game?
Yes, sir, you bet.
Well, so long.
So long.
As he would have wished, the last rites for Gary Cooper are quietly dignified. Only close friends like Edward G. Robinson attend the services. Jimmy Durante pays his tribute to his fellow artist. John Wayne, one of his intimates. Marlene Dietrich mourns the man who was beloved throughout his long career. Frank Sinatra accompanies President Kennedy's sister, Mrs. Peter Lawford. Another longtime friend, Walter Pidgeon. Never have such an array of stars paid such a heartfelt tribute. Tribute to a man who is eulogized as unparalleled in the perfection of his art. The final curtain falls for one of the most beloved and most respected actors in the history of motion pictures, as his wife Veronica and daughter Maria mourn.
Wow. Unbelievable career, unbelievable person, Robbie, huh?
Unbelievable. Gary Cooper, I mean, the word beloved does not even begin to say how much emotion, how much feeling people have for this amazing man and this amazing actor.
And Ray, when you watch Pride of the Yankees, that's pretty much your signature through life. When you see that, I know George Steinbrenner was one of his favorite actors as well. So you kind of passing on the baton when we have a show like this today.
Anyway, you know I'm a crybaby, and I'm crying right now because that scene with that boy is what we practice every season, and every season I always have that Gary Cooper, Lou Gehrig, who in essence gives of the children and makes the kids feel like they can achieve, they can beat cancer, they can beat polio, they can walk again, you know, and these are the things that it just, you know, that's what it's all about. And again, thank God for these movies. Thank God for the Janis Cooper family and the fact that they keep Gary Cooper alive, because if I didn't have that fuel, I couldn't go to these players and say, you have a responsibility to these kids to help these kids, you know? So again, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Byron.
Well, let's bring them on. Let's bring them on. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Robbie, you take the lead.
Well, first of all, Maria, it is such a joy to have you back on the show. We are so in awe of your father and of your career and of the amazing career of your amazing husband, Maestro Byron.
You're right on target there.
You've been surrounded by some pretty talented men in your life.
Yes, a friend of ours was in a situation where she had a famous father and a famous husband, and she said, "Oh, I feel like a hero sandwich."
Yeah, I can get that.
But listen, how much more lucky could anyone get than I have, honestly. Certainly, life started me off with a great blessing, and it jumped in the middle and has continued to this very moment. Byron and I have been together, been married for 54 years.
Wow.
And that picture was actually taken when we were renewing our wedding vows at Temple Emmanuel.
Fantastic.
So, but anyway, it's been it's wonderful, and Steve, thank you for speaking how my father has affected your life, and it's so makes me so deeply happy, and it's very, very touching, and I truly feel he's aware of the love and the good works and those that he's inspired. I mean, you know, he was asked what it felt like to be Gary Cooper and to be playing the different roles that he did, and he said, well, I don't know. He said, I've been very lucky, but he said, I can't imagine what it must be like to be a real hero. I've only portrayed heroes.
Wow.
And he was so humble in his attitude.
Part of his charm, part of his connection with audiences has to be that humility that he had, that was that just came across so genuinely.
Yeah, it did, and thank you for saying that, and I'm so happy to that TCM and whatever other channels play the classic Hollywood films, and because it does bring the younger generation to a little bit of exposure.
And TCM, let me throw in a quick plug for TCM. I'm a big TCM Turner Classic Movies fan because I watch TCM and I DVR them. So my wife and I, every night, we put on a different TCM movie. So you're right. It's great they keep those two for the next generation.
Maria, I have to ask you, when you were on the set of High Noon,
yes,
I mean, you were young. You were a young kid.
I was in my teens.
Did you understand the magnitude of what was happening on High Noon, on the set of High Noon?
I did not, and to be honest, I don't think anyone really expected High Noon to become the iconic film that it was, and it did upset a few people with certain different political persuasions, and the writer Carl Foreman was blacklisted by Hollywood. He had to leave the country, and that's another whole story. But High Noon was a statement about courage, and about knowing what the right thing to do is. And I mean, that just one thing that strikes me always, that very simple scene where Frank Miller, the villain,
right,
ends up being shot, but the marshal could have just shot him from behind, and he called out to him. He gave him the chance to turn around,
right,
and draw his own gun, and then they had the gunfight. But it was something about, it was some thing of conscience that he said, okay, I've got to let him know I'm coming for him.
Well, Maria, the part of that film that got me, even as a young boy, was when his friends, when he realized that they really weren't friends. And he's sitting at his desk and he started to cry.
Yes.
And when he cried, I cried with him because he felt so alone, and in my mind, I guess it's okay to cry. You know what I'm saying? And that always had an impact on me.
No, you're right. And my father and Ernest Hemingway were very close friends, and someone made an interesting comparison between The Old Man and the Sea, Hemingway's book, and High Noon and the sheriff and the old man and the fisherman, and that moment in their life, and again at that moment in both their lives, it was a young boy who comes in and says, he's the only one who says, "Can I help?"
Wow, powerful.
Well, for our young viewers out there, let's do a little snippet of High Noon.
Hold on. Before we do that, because I'm gonna lose train of thought because I've been forgetting a lot lately, and that is, since we're talking about Ernest Hemingway, I just want to let you know that, remember, I've done 5 books. I wouldn't have a book if it wasn't for the friendship of Gary Cooper and Ernest Hemingway. Because I always used to say, I'm going to be the Ernest Hemingway of children's books, okay? And that was my incentive. That was the incentive. And my very first book was a national bestseller, and it would not have happened without the relationship of Gary Cooper and Ernest Hemingway, which is why when you look at the cover of the book, it's Gary Cooper, as a combination of Gary Cooper and Lou Gehrig combined.
Wow.
My goodness.
Well said. Well said. Let's check out a little clip of High Noon.
The judge has left town, Harvey's quit, and I'm having trouble getting deputies.
People gotta talk themselves into law and order before they do anything about it. Maybe because down deep they don't care. They just don't care.
I think you better go while there's still time. It's better for you, and it's better for us.
Amy.
I mean it. If you won't go with me now, I'll be on that train when it leaves here.
I've got to stay.
Why must you be so stupid, Will? Have you forgotten what he is? Have you forgotten what he's done to people? Have you forgotten that he's crazy? Don't you remember when he sat in that chair and said, "You'll never hang me, I'll come back. I'll kill you, Will King. I swear it, I'll kill you."
A terror-stricken town left him to face 4 killers, single-handed, at high noon.
Wow, I love that. Amazing.
You know, part of this show is like a history lesson. Robbie's doing Frankie Valli for almost 45 years now. Ray has been with the Yankees for almost 50 years. And the history and legacy of Gary Cooper will always live on. So I think it's our duty to kind of share with the young viewers out there about the man, Gary Cooper. And you find people that are on the screen tonight.
Yes.
And with that being said, I also I loved the aspect of, see, me and Byron Janis ran into each other many years ago, and he doesn't remember this, okay? But I was on the stage at Carnegie Hall because I just wanted to feel the magnitude of stepping on Carnegie Hall stage, you know? And I wasn't there because I was anybody. I was there because I was accompanying Reggie Jackson. This was a couple of years after he had hit the historic home runs, etc. And he actually sat at the piano with the great maestro Byron Janis. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
There we go.
Oh,
there we go.
That was fun.
What did you play? I don't remember.
You know, I don't either. Probably take me out the long.
Well, you know, that was a benefit for ALS. I mean,
Yes.
it was prior to.
Right.
Byron did a benefit concert at Carnegie Hall, I think that night or the next night, to raise funds for ALS.
And Maria, the incredible thing is, at the time, I had no idea that you guys were married. Okay, because had I known that you guys were married, you know, we'd still be in Carnegie Hall right now, fielding questions about Gary Cooper and all this, etc. But the one thing about the maestro, he played Rhapsody in Blue at one point, and I heard him do that. Am I right, maestro?
Right. Yes, I did.
Oh my God. And, you know, I mean, I had gotten together with James Cagney, who had done a movie. And in the movie, he was blind. He got blind at the end. And his brother was a great piano player playing Rhapsody in Blue. You know, okay. And he had always told me about that. And he had incredible words about Byron Janis. And again,
Do you have the recording? Do you have Byron's recording of that?
Yeah, I heard. I don't have the recording, but I've heard it on several occasions.
Well,
Okay?
we'll take care of that.
I would love that. I would love that because it's just incredible.
We had,
and every time that it's used in a movie, it's just like, forget about it.
You know, there's one equation that I see.
You know, we.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Maria.
No, I was just going to say that we had the privilege and the wonderful experience to have lunch with Joe DiMaggio a few years back down in Florida. It was a lunch given by a friend who actually was contributing a lot of funding for some medical research to treat the pain of arthritis. And, you know, Byron has had arthritis since 1973. And this particular treatment was in a development stage. And that's why we were there. And because, let's say, Byron had played with arthritis since 1973, and he kept it hidden. But this it was a kind of electroacupuncture, and it really for a pianist to get arthritis in his hands and wrists is pretty rough. But this form of medical treatment and pain control was wonderful. That was the reason Mr. DiMaggio was a friend of our mutual friend, and it was wonderful to meet him because
Well, one of the things, and now you mentioned, Maria, is the fact that Maestro Byron has arthritis and has had it since 1973, and obviously that was one of the biggest, most profound episodes of your life, Maestro. Can you elaborate on how you overcame it, how you were able to continue to play with that?
How did you overcome?
Arthritis?
Yes. I mean, how did you overcome playing? You're cutting in and out a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Okay.
So the point is, you continued to play with arthritis.
Can you hear?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Steve, why don't you talk? Maybe you're not hearing.
Yeah, I think what Robbie's asking, Maestro, how did you overcome arthritis in 1973 to continue playing beautifully like you do?
Well, you know, I was lucky to be born with a strong mind. When I was 11, I put my left hand through a glass French door, and I pulled it out quickly, and it was cut to the bone. It's horrible.
Wow.
And when I was rushed to the hospital, they cut the nerve, they cut the tendon in the operation, and since then, until today, that finger is totally numb.
Wow.
And the doctor said, well, you'll never play again, but you're so young, you can do it. Well, I went home and I said, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to play again. And I worked and I worked and I worked, and I found ways of using it which worked eventually. It was a lot of work, but I did it. And I was so happy because so many talented people, you know, something happens to them and they give up too soon. Mm-hmm. I had many difficult days, I must say, when I went to the other room and started crying when I couldn't do something that I wanted to do. But I always came back and persevered. And I did a lot of concerts for arthritis with children. And it was important because they all wanted to be sportsmen. Most of them I saw at the hospital, and they never could be because of how badly they were affected. But I told them, you know, to have more than one dream.
I love that.
Yes, well, because they were dreaming of it. Have more than one dream, and I hope they did. Anyway, it was like, you know, meeting Maria. I never knew her father because I met Maria a year after he died. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, what I feel has so many of his qualities. She's quiet. She
stubborn.
I didn't know how.
Well,
but
well, just can I interrupt? He certainly knows my father because they actually TCM excuse me, did a wonderful documentary about my father called Gary Cooper, American Life, American Legend. And I asked the producer, I said, no, I asked Byron, I said, would you please compose a special Gary Cooper theme, something that's special to my father? And Byron did. And it is the main theme song in this documentary. Clint Eastwood is the host of it. And
Right.
It is a Gary Cooper theme, and it's called Song for a Hero.
Wow.
Right.
And, but Byron, when Byron played the piece for me, it's like my father walked into the room. I burst out crying because it was so, he captured the essence of my father.
Wow.
So thank you again for the music.
Now,
There's
Maria.
There's one parallel that your father, Gary Cooper, and Maestro Byron Janis have, and that is that ability to convey emotion and drama and pathos through their medium. Your father through his medium of the screen, and Byron through the medium of his music, and both of them are very dramatic and emotional in their performing.
Well, thank you.
You're the first person who's pointed that out, and I've thought it myself a lot, but you're the first person who's said it and said it so well.
Mm. One of the things I do love about Maestro Byron's playing and listening to him play, there's an intense emotional that comes through his music, and and you cannot but help but feel it, and that's a gift to be able to convey that. Obviously, it takes a lot of skill. It's the old word, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. And I know that Maestro has done that. But you were given a gift too, wouldn't you say, Maestro? I mean, there are many academic, technically proficient musicians out there, but not all of them are able to compel heart and soul and feeling in the music as you do.
Well, I always say, we're not a body with a soul. We're a soul with a body.
Ooh, I like it.
And I think it's so important because you're born with a talent. There's no question. You can work, and it doesn't help. It only helps part of the talent.
Yeah.
And I had one very amusing story. A girl was studying with me, and she had a tremendous technique for the piano. What she didn't exude any motion.
Yeah.
Motion, really. It was just all playing the piano. And I knew from talking to her that she had it. And for whatever reason, I had no idea. At the door, I said, "Tell me, how'd you go home?" And she said, "Oh, I walk so and so." Huh? I said, "Do you always walk the same way?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Do me a favor. Try walking another way."
No.
She said, "Why?" I said, "Well, just try it and see different things." Well, I had no idea why I said it. It was not part of a lesson, but I just said it. And within 6 weeks, it was amazing. That girl was another. She became an artist.
Wow.
She becomes freer. Seeing other things. Now I have to go home. There's more than one way to do something. That's
Amen. And the true artists are the ones who break the molds and who carve their own path.
It's so true. That's so true.
Now,
I mean, perfection doesn't exist.
Amen.
And striving for it is good, but young people strive for it too much. And in the meantime, they lose their musical freedom. They try to be perfect. You can't be.
I'd love to pick up on what you was talking about earlier too. And there's a comparison between Reggie Jackson that Ray mentioned earlier. To me, all the champions, no matter what field of endeavor, whether it's Gary Cooper or whether it's Reggie Jackson or whether it's Magic Johnson or whoever the champion may be, or whether it's Muhammad Ali, these are people who have that ability to, first of all, they're tenacious, driven, motivated to rise above whatever they have, whether it be arthritis or a finger that doesn't even work anymore. And every one of them, those people, including you, Maestro, have risen above and pushed themselves and driven themselves to become successful and to communicate in the field that they are in. Just like Reggie Jackson when he hit those 3 home runs against my beloved Dodgers.
See, you brought it up this week, Robbie. We didn't even bring it up. You brought it up.
That's all right. That's all right. But Maria, I gotta ask you, Maria. Now, you had the kind of relationship with your parents, and especially with your dad, that all kids dream of. Okay, why would Gary Cooper have agreed to let you go out with Byron Janis?
That's a good question.
He would be. I can picture he and Byron off together, having a drink somewhere, having a fantastic time. Well, they will one day together.
Well, now would he have said, "Now listen, we can have a drink together, but you can't go out with my daughter"?
No, he said that to quite a few others.
He did, yeah.
Well, I'm sure he did.
There's a funny story. We had the occasion when the Shah of Iran was in power. He went to Sun Valley for skiing, and we had occasion to meet him. So he invited us to come to visit him in Tehran and blah, blah. So one particular time we were in Paris, my father I think he was making love in the afternoon. Anyway, we all went out for dinner together with His Majesty and Her Majesty and everybody. And then there was a nightclub that he wanted to go to. So this motorcade went off with sirens and whistles and everything. And there was a very good dance band, and the Shah asked me to dance with him. So he was a very good dancer, and we were having a nice time dancing. And I had been told that the musicians were given strict orders. They had to keep playing as long as His Majesty was on the dance floor and wanted to hear the music. So I'm thinking, well, here we are, and we're going on, and I see my father and mother at the side table, and my father looks at his watch and he does some hand signaling, and suddenly he gets up, marches onto the dance floor, taps His Majesty on the shoulder, and says, "My daughter's got to go home. Good night, Your Majesty. Thank you for dinner," and whisked me away. And nobody. It was very funny. Hello? Yes. I don't think we have any sound at the moment.
That's a big.
Hello?
I'll tell you what. We can hear that. That was amazing.
Hey, Byron, I gotta ask you a question. Okay, now the world knows Byron Janis, the great classical pianist. Now you know the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Could you have, in essence, if Robbie Robinson got fired by Frankie, could you have took over and done that music?
Yes, I love good jazz. By the way, I think it's improvised, and it's done at the moment. And one of the greatest pianists, and I will tell you that, was a man named Art Tatum.
Oh yeah, the
I don't
greatest.
remember that name, but he was a great pianist. And he played once for Rachmaninoff. the great Russian composer, pianist. And Rachmaninoff said to him, you know, if you wanted to be classical pianist, it would be great.
Wow, I didn't.
Yes.
Oh, what a story.
Yeah, it's quite a story. So
I love that there is a story about Art Tatum. Oh, go ahead, Maestro. Go ahead, Maestro.
No, go ahead.
There is that
told you
story
why.
of Art Tatum when Teddy Wilson was playing in some jazz club, and Art Tatum walked into the room, and he stopped playing. He said, "God has entered the building," and Art Tatum was known as this amazing. And then there was Oscar Peterson, who was a great jazz pianist, who after he turned 30 years old, he had a very intensive classical regimental study, so to learn the classics. And Oscar Peterson was another brilliant pianist. Duke Ellington put it this way: there are two kinds of music. He said there is good music, and then there's the other kind.
Well said. This is Reach Out. This is Reach Out with Ray, Stephen, Robbie. We're sitting here with Maria Cooper Janis and Maestro Byron Janis, and thank you so very much for joining us. But Gary Cooper was once on the Jack Benny show, and he did a little skit there. Let's take a little clip.
Oh, I love this. I love it.
Louis Armstrong? Is that what you mean?
Yes, wasn't it Louis Armstrong?
Yes.
Anyway, Gary, thanks very, very much for appearing on the show.
Well,
what?
Well, I'm not going just yet, Jack.
You're not?
No, I thought that being as this is my first time as a guest star on television, I'd like to sing a song.
No, kidding. Well, really, Gary, I didn't know that. Really, I didn't know that you sing.
Oh, yes, I've been singing for years.
Eh?
I'm a regular Jeff Chandler.
Well, have you prepared a number?
Oh, yes, and the sportsmen are going to back me up.
The Sportsmen?
Yeah.
You mean my quartet? Oh, well, come on out here then, fellas.
Come on out, fellas.
Oh, the Sportsmen quartet. Oh, for heaven's sake. And you really have a singing voice, huh? And you're prepared, you sing well. Well, let's hear it then. I'm anxious. Go right ahead. I certainly want to hear this.
Johnny is a joker,
He's a bird.
a very funny joker.
He's a bird.
But when he jokes for honey,
He's a dog.
his joker is a honey.
What a dog.
Johnny is a joker that's trying to steal my baby.
He's a bird dog.
Johnny sings a love song.
Like a bird.
He sings the sweetest love song.
You ever heard?
But when he sings to my gal,
He's a hound.
to me he's just a wolf dog.
On the prowl.
Johnny wants to fly away and puppy love my baby.
He's a bird dog.
Hey, bird dog, get away from my chick. Hey, bird dog, you better get away from me. Bird dog, you better run, kick the tail.
A regular Elvis Presley.
That's great.
Oh, thank you for finding that and showing it. It's wonderful.
Do you remember that, Maria? Do you remember that?
I do, and nobody knows it. It's wonderful.
But as a father, how was he to you and your family? Talk about the man, a family man.
Oh, geez, you know where to start. We were right in the beginning. He was really the father of, I think, every child's dream, and I think maybe every girl's dream too, because I think as a girl child and how you grow up as a woman, how you think about men and what men are like and what they can be or should be or whatever. You know, what a wonderful example he gave me about, you know, strength, love, unconditional love, discipline. You know, I mean, it was all, he he and my mother sort of had the whole package pretty well tied together. You know, it takes two, you know, also. I was very lucky that there were, you know, my mother was strong. She was a wonderful complement to him in many ways, very, very different. And he loved the differences.
What a powerful woman she had to be. What a powerful, strong woman Rocky had to be.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you know, my father was a big hunter. You know, for game primarily. We had a lot of wonderful ducks for dinner that he had gotten up at 4 a.m. and driven out to the up the coastline and brought them back and put a whole pile of bloody ducks on the kitchen table.
Wow, that's great.
I lost my story. But he
Who caught the ducks?
Yeah, the ducks. I got sidetracked. He was, you know, he wasn't someone to lecture you. You really, I think, as I say, a way to teach your child is not to send them off with a book or even a teacher that you. I mean, for instance, we all played tennis, but it wasn't me going out and having tennis lessons. I saw my mother and father having tennis lessons, learning, you know, being told, hey, you're doing that wrong, you know, do it again. And even skiing, because my father had a very hard time skiing because he had a broken hip as a youngster, and it never healed right. He could never snowplow. He was skiing parallel before it was ever the way to do it. And you know, we did a lot of sports together as a family, and I can tell you, I think if anything, particularly in Hollywood, kept one balanced, it was athletics and sports, loving sports, and doing them together as much as possible.
Well, Maria and Maestro, thank you so very much. God bless you for spending an hour with us tonight.
May I just tell you one thing? I
love it.
I was a great baseball fan since I was very, very young. And I was brought to baseball not only to my own feelings, but my father had sporting goods store in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, along with Hannes Wagner.
Wow.
I used to listen to the Pirates, of course, being Pittsburgh, and at a very young age, I would listen to these games that they would broadcast as though they were in Chicago, but they weren't, and the audience knew.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you so very much for joining us. Robbie, have a great show tonight. God bless you guys. You have to come back on the show. And we're going to go out with some music from the Maestro.
Yes.
God bless.
God bless. Thank you all, and a safe, happy, and healthy New Year to all your families.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Talk soon. Thank you so much.
Our real pleasure. Thank you.